the weird thing is like we have to come out and like perform straight away. Like there's no warm up, there's no nothing. So like it's kind of more of a mental game for us. Like we really need to be focused and locked in. Like in a game, you might not be out there for 3 quarters and then you've got to come out and hit your perfect rep. So it's kind of like, that's kind of the way we focus on practice, is kind of like going through these different situations and working out how we'd kind of go about them. So I brought in a bunch of like different, you guys say candies or whatever, but
what do you say?
Like lollies or chocolates. But anyway, I brought them in. None of them wanted to eat the ones I brought, so I was like, you're done. I'm not bringing them in anymore. I said, I'm done with that. I don't think I have. I just don't have the size.
I mean, wow. Twins do exist.
Nah, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
What's going on, everybody? Aeneas Hawkins here in the Family Clothesline. If you have not found your way here, make sure to stop in. You can find Family Clothesline at 352 East College Ave, of course, State College, PA 16801. Make sure to stop in if you haven't yet. If you're gonna go online, you can find Family Clothesline at www.pennstateclothes.com. Visit us in the heart of Lion Country. We have extended hours here at the Family Clothesline on home football weekends, or you can find us 24/7 at www.pennstateclothes.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Lions Den. I am your host, Aeneas Hawkins, joined as always by my guy, Dvon J. Thomas. And Dvon, I'll let you bring our very special guest in this week. We're very happy to have him.
Of course, here we have Riley Thompson, AKA Oz, AKA the punter from down under. Riley Thompson, how you doing today, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you? Appreciate you guys having me on here.
Absolutely, man. It's a pleasure to have you anytime we can. Obviously had a big week this week. I said that he was the Big Ten punter of the week, but that was disrespectful. That wasn't the award you won. Tell the people what you just won.
Ray Guy punter of the week, which I just want to say a shout out to the Nittany Lion fans, because it was actually a fan vote. So I appreciate you guys showing love and support for me on that one.
That's big time.
So how's your experience been being here at Penn State? Just experiencing this new level of football, coming from Australia and, you know, playing a different type of football over there.
It was crazy. I'm from a big city back home too, so kind of adjusting to a smaller town was also something really different. And we don't really have anything like this back home. It's kind of like we have the pros and then you kind of play local level football. So making that jump was kind of a big one. It was always something that I wanted to do. So I just kind of went full steam ahead with it all and just kind of took it all in as much as I could. But it's been awesome. Like the fans are awesome. The players, staff, everyone's been awesome and like welcomed me and helped me get adjusted.
So where are you from exactly?
Melbourne. So Melbourne, Australia is in the southeast. It's a big city, kind of like New York.
I just want to stop real quick. What, other than the size, is there anything similar to where you're from in New York City? That was just a big statement to make.
It's not a crazy statement to make.
So it's like New York City.
It's like same size, like the people, like there's heaps of people in the city. I don't live like in the city, but I'm kind of outside of the city. But
what has surprised you the most about American culture since you've been here?
I was actually talking about this kind of the other day with my friends. I think like American culture in general is very like direct. Like people know what they want to do. They know like where they're going and it's like you're going to do that and like you're kind of like on a mission to get it done. Whereas back home you kind of just like go with the flow a little bit. I mean like I'll stop to get a coffee, chat with the barista for a little while, kind of like probably head down to the beach. I don't know, like kind of just float around. Whereas I feel like here it's kind of, I mean, for us, it's a very different schedule, so it's kind of hard for me to like compare it to myself. But I think people kind of know what they want to do, know where they're going. Whereas back home, you're kind of just floating around, like going with the flow of things.
Kind of vibe.
So is it hard for you to adjust, like coming to Penn State? I mean, arguably one of the most structured programs in the country. Yeah. I mean, like 10 to 15 minutes early is the standard minimum here. So it's like, and that's 10 to 15 minutes early for meetings or whatever the situation is, meetings with academic counselors, whatever it is. Like, was it a big adjustment for you?
I wouldn't say it was a huge adjustment. Like I've kind of been involved with sports like my whole life. So I've always had like that 10-minute early, like I'm not really a late guy. Yeah. So for me, that kind of wasn't a big deal. I think going into fall camp was kind of the craziest one, just with like how many things are happening. I was just like, we're really there like all this time, like what's going on? That was probably the biggest one. In season, like I've always had like sports, school, and then I had work on top of that. So it's kind of been like my daily life. Now I'm here, it's kind of structured for me, which kind of makes it a little bit easier. Like, you know where to go, where you have to be. You just got to kind of manage it and be there when you can.
Again, I want to talk about the last couple of weeks. You know, Coach Franklin talks a lot about team football. You know, everybody firing on all cylinders. You know, that's from offense, defense to special teams. We also have a new special teams coordinator. So how do you think that's been for you guys in terms of, you know, how you guys are developing and, you know, gelling with the rest of the team and doing your part to the, you know, best of your abilities?
I think Coach Dig coming in was awesome for us. He brings like so much energy. I say it every time. Like, every day he's in the facility, he's like going like crazy. He's always yelling, screaming, talking to people and doing things. So I think that's been really like big for us. I also think like Penn State's really a bit of a different school when it comes to special teams. Like, Coach Franklin really makes such a big emphasis, and I think that kind of filters through to the whole team. Like, a lot of programs don't appreciate like how much of a difference special teams can make. I think Coach Franklin kind of like harping on it and really showing the importance, like especially with like the things we do after practice for push-ups and things like that. People kind of understand that we can make a big difference, especially in close games and things like that. So I have a great appreciation for that, because I think the team appreciates it more, which you don't see in a lot of programs. So I think it kind of starts at the top and kind of filters all the way down.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to ask you, I do think Coach Franklin puts a tremendous emphasis on special teams here at Penn State. Even such, I can remember being in practices as a D tackle and oftentimes looking over at the specialists during practice and wondering to myself, what are they doing here right now? What's going on? I'm in here headbanging with the greatest offensive lineman that you can find on this side of the Mississippi, and it looked like you guys were just having a great time. So I want to ask, what does the practice schedule look like for the specialists as somebody who never really got any clarification on what you guys were up to?
So, I mean, it kind of varies from day to day. Like, I'll have my big kicking day, and that'll be for us on a Tuesday. So I'll kick a lot during practice. And then Wednesday, we come in, we still have work day. We don't punt as much. So I kind of do like things that I can, like you get on the jugs and catch, or like ball drops, or like kind of run through different situations. Our analysts do a really good job of kind of creating situations where we'd have to run out, and we don't actually do it, but we kind of just go through what we have to do. We do a lot of stretching and mobility. It might look like we're slacking off a little bit, but it's super important for us. Coach L gets us right with the stretching and mobility side of things. And then we're kind of just getting ready for a bunch of different things. Like, the weird thing is, like, we have to come out and like perform straight away. Like, there's no warm up, there's no nothing. So like, it's kind of more of a mental game for us. Like, we really need to be focused and locked in. Like, in a game, you might not be out there for 3 quarters, and then you've got to come out and hit your perfect rep. So it's kind of like, that's kind of the way we focus on practice, is kind of like going through these different situations and working out how we'd kind of go about them.
There's nothing like coming off of an inside run period, running off the sideline and seeing Riley Thompson in the butterfly stretch.
Yeah.
You know, just making sure that his hips are loose and he's ready to go.
It's unreal. You know, period 20, we're an inside run, you know.
They're playing catch with the coaches' kids, just vibing out, making sure everybody's having a good time.
Had a one-on-one rep with Juice Scruggs and double team by JB and Olu. You know, it's great.
Two different realities. I do want to ask, though, because it is unique in the sense that, you know, the way that we prepare for football games as D tackles is much different than what maybe you're thinking of what you're doing. I mean, for us, because it's such a, you know, a physical game and so violent, it's a different mentality that you shift into. But, you know, you still have to be focused on your job and making sure you execute at a high level. So what does your mentality look like in those moments? It's
kind of different. Like, this is the kind of struggle that I've had with a lot of coaches, is like, I like to like kind of disassociate with the game, because like the more I'm locked in, the more I'm focused, the more I'm thinking about things, and it kind of messes up my rhythm. So I'm kind of like, obviously I'm aware of what's going on if I have to be out there, what I have to do. But like, if I'm running off the punt, I'm looking around, like I'm kind of focusing on different things and not actually thinking about what I'm doing, because like I punt, and I'm sure a lot of punters and kickers are the same. Like, when you're in that free flow state, it just is natural. You're not even thinking about what you're doing. So it's kind of different for us. I've been working with like a sports psychologist to kind of like work on what I say to myself and what I do. So it's more of a mental game for us, because we practice fall camp and we're practicing all year round. But when it kind of comes to the season, it's kind of like, I know I've had my training, I know what I'm doing. It's more so, can I like not think about this and just let my punt or kick or whatever take care of itself?
Yeah. I would say I respect it a lot, to be honest with you. Like, thinking about it fully now, like, you guys have to go out there. There's no field reps. There's none of that, you know. Like, you got to go out there and perform, you know. You don't get double takes on special teams. And I think that's also why, Coach Franklin emphasizes it. So in terms of like football, what between, the football you guys play in Australia and the football that's played here, what is like the biggest difference? Like, is there like
the pads and pads and
like,
helmets is crazy to me. Like, I don't like if I'm going to tackle someone, I don't want to have pads and helmets on. Like it just like for me, it's so bizarre. If I have to, I will. But it's like I would rather like no pads and no helmets.
So can we get into that a little bit more? I'm kind of stuck here because I think a part of it could make sense. I played rugby in high school, so I kind of get tackled with no pads. But I also know that the kids I was tackling playing rugby and maybe some other places couldn't run through my face at any given time. These are some physical, explosive kids. So I kind of want some more clarification, like why the no pads thing? What is your mind?
I think it's just like the way the game's played back home is very different to the way the game's played here. Like it's very like stop start and you're running like head on, whereas back home it's more of like a free flow.
Right.
Like you're moving this, that, and direction. So it's kind of like easier to wrap and then go down. Whereas here it's more, I feel like front on. I feel like that's the key difference in my mind. Like
ironically, it sounds a lot like how you compared and contrasted America to Australia in the way of life.
It's kind of like that a little bit.
That's very interesting.
That is crazy, yeah.
Now, I'll ask you, so if you weren't punting the football, if you were not a specialist, what position do you see yourself having the best chance to thrive at Penn State University?
Okay, so my answer, like I have two kind of answers.
Okay.
In my head, I'm like, I feel like if I had a little bit more size, I could play tight end.
Okay.
Because like I've been catching my whole life, so like I feel like I'd have semi-decent hands. I wouldn't be very good with the routes and stuff like that. I'd struggle with that for sure.
Okay.
But I feel like body size is more of like a linebacker. I feel like that's kind of where I match up body size and weight and things like that. That would kind of be my area, I feel. So I'm kind of split on what fits and what I think.
Right. You and Kobe King, very similar.
When I think of LBU.
Yeah. You, Kobe King, Tony Rojas, all guys. Abdul, very similar.
Right. All very similar.
But I'm saying like that's my closest fit. Like that's my closest fit. I'm not wide receiver. Like,
how do you run? Are you fast?
I'm not bad. Like I was 4'7", almost 4'6", so it's not like horrible, but it's not quick.
Not a receiver.
Not a receiver, no. But I mean, if I had the ball in my hand and had to make a play, I could make it. I can make it happen.
Defensive end, you think? No.
I don't think I have. I just don't have the size.
I mean.
Wow. Twins do exist.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, I will say, but I mean, I know you're trying to make a joke. I was the backup place kicker at my high school my sophomore year, so that is a fact.
All-American defensive end, defensive tackle, all-state guy. This is totally serious. He has a lot of pedigree behind his name, so I think you could, if you went the same route, you could have did it.
Right.
Right. Nothing against
this is my question to you, Riley. You say that you could play tight end. If I lined up at strong safety right now, me versus you. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to press you. It's pre-practice one-on-ones.
Yeah, all right.
You can run a slant or a fade. Are you catching the football?
Well, the issue is I don't know what a slant or a fade is. The issues have already begun.
Okay, pre-snap, we've got the
I just get to run wherever I want.
No, like you get to run
You can run inside or you can try to run over the top and catch the ball.
Like you run to the corner or you run to the
You don't know what a slant and a fade is as a Penn State football player right now?
If I saw it, then I'll be like, I know that route, but
I've seen that. I don't know what it's called.
I've seen that in red zone one-on-one. So.
That's hilarious.
No, I don't know the names of like I know the names, but I don't know what they look like. Like someone said, like a flat basic. That's a thing. No,
flat basic.
It's offense.
Offense. Okay. Wait, so am I playing defense or offense here?
You're playing offense. You said you want to be a tight end.
I'm saying I'd get a rep for sure.
You're winning the rep.
I'd win one if I got a couple. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me get warmed up a little bit.
Right.
Okay.
So do you think that you'd be able to stack up against Brenneman? Now, look, I want you guys to send this to him, please.
Yeah, Adam Brenneman.
Adam Brenneman, former Penn State tight end. Great tight end here, fantastic. But do you think if you made that transition, you'd be able to stack up?
Nah.
No.
I did this is what I was saying. I didn't say that I can play. In my head, that would be the easiest transition. But would I be good at it? Probably not. But I'll give it a try if I had to.
That's all that matters, giving it a try. I want to get into the rest of the season and what some of the goals you have for yourself are. year 2 in the program. You're obviously the guy at the punter position. What does a successful season look like for you?
I think team success is the main thing. Like the better I can do, the better it puts the defense in a better position. Like that's all I think about when I punt is like just say I had a bad punt. In my head, I'm not like, oh, I had a bad punt. I'm like, well, I've really just like screwed over my defense right now. So like the better I can do and the better I can get, it's just going to help the team out more. And like, as we always say, with team success comes individual success. So I feel like if you worry about that first, then everything else is going to take care of itself.
That's real talk. And I mean, what games are you looking forward to in terms of just, showing that off and putting the defense in a great position?
For me, USC is number one. My family's coming out. My friends are coming out. Like, I have my people there, which will be pretty sweet. I mean, anytime that I have, like, my friends and family there, it's like, the best. It's the best feeling. I mean, like, being able to look up and see them in the stands is probably, like, one of the greatest things that's come out of this for me. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited for that. I've always wanted to play there at USC, too. Like, that's kind of a stadium I feel like people know about in Australia. It's kind of like, it's a known thing. So being able to play there is pretty cool, kind of checking that off. But yeah, I mean, that whole stretch of games is going to be pretty epic. So, and my family's going to be there for it, which is probably like the number one thing for me.
So what would you say is like your why as to why you do all this? Like, what is your driving force?
Definitely family. Like, I mean, I kind of have had a bit of a weird path kind of getting here, and my family have been there for me through all of it. And kind of like just doing everything for them, making them proud. I mean, they always tell me how proud they are of me, and that's kind of like the main thing that drives me. I always talk about my sister a lot, and kind of doing things like she always pushes me the way she goes about life, and I kind of try to take that myself. Like the more I push and the more I do with my life, I hope to inspire her a little bit to do the same. But yeah, family's number one for me. And like being able to take care of the people that take care of you your whole life is a massive thing. So that's always on the forefront of my mind.
So how special was it then? You talk about how important family is and the example you try to set for your sister and all that good stuff. And you become a captain of Penn State football. Not only are you on the team and doing well, you're doing well enough to where people respect you and vote for you to be a captain on their team.
My cap.
How special is that for you and for your family as well?
It was an honor. I really I was just grateful for the opportunity. Like obviously I'm an older guy on the team, and I try to be there as much as I can for the other guys. I don't want to obviously overstep, like being from another country and not knowing the game and different things like that. So I was like, okay, let me kind of change this approach a little bit. Let me be there for guys when they have like other issues that include like life or school or things like that. So that's kind of the way I took it. I was like, if I can be there for them in that sense, obviously it's a little bit harder for me in the football sense because I don't know as much, even though I'll try. That was kind of where I went with it, but it was awesome. I got to FaceTime in Coach Franklin's office with everyone else. It was like probably one of the most special moments in my life. I know they're super proud of me, and yeah, it was epic.
Listen, if you're looking for your NIL jersey, Family Clothesline has what you need. Over 120 of the Penn State football players are exclusively working with Family Clothesline to bring to you their NIL jersey. Each one of Family Clothesline's NIL jerseys features the official patch that lets you know that these jerseys are the real deal, super authentic, and they directly benefit our Penn State Nittany Lions. Jerseys are available in both navy and white, and the sizes go up to 3X in both adult and youth sizes. This jersey program benefits the players in a great way. Make sure to go get yours at www.pennstateclothes.com. Who, when you look at the NFL, and obviously everybody who comes to Penn State at a certain point, you want guys who want to go play in the NFL. I'm sure you have similar aspirations, but when you look at the punters in the league now, who is one that you feel like is maybe a step ahead or that you try to model your game after?
It's funny. I went to high school with Torrey Taylor, who just got drafted to the Bears. He might have been the highest drafted or one of the highest drafted special teams players in history. And even like, he's one of. He may not be the, but he's definitely up there. I know Stout was up there too. Yeah, Stout's up there. They were kind of in similar areas. And like the way that people talk about like Jordan and him is the same. Like it's just different. Like we went back and kicked, and like the way like you like the sound of the ball coming off the foot is different. The way he's so smooth in his operations, and that's what the guys kind of said about Jordan when he was here. I never crossed over with him, but apparently when he went out there and kicked, it was just like it was different.
No worry in the world. Yeah, we're gonna be in great position every single time. Yeah. So what's something about special teams, or about kicking the ball that most people might not know that you think they should?
I think, like, for me, my biggest transition was last year. it was kind of like halfway through the year. And I was kind of like, all right, how do I get an edge? Like, obviously everyone's punting, everyone's doing this. And I was like, how do I get an edge on like other people? And the first thing was the mental game. And that's something that I've worked on this year. As I said, I've been meeting every week with a sports psychologist to kind of get that in check and have my plan. But it was also like understanding like punting football more. And it's like, okay, what do the looks look like? How do I adjust what I'm doing to the different looks? Because I didn't know anything. And I was just going out there and punting. So I was like, all right, I know there's an overload to this side. We're either going to do this or do that. Or like, okay, there's an overload. I need to move quick. Or like, they're backing off. They're in safe. Or I have more time. Kind of things like that. And kind of understanding like where we are in the field, if it's 4th and short or 4th and long, kind of what they're going to bring, the pressures and things like that. I think that really changed my whole mindset. And I watched a bunch of film, even prepping for teams. Like you probably think like, oh, we just go out and kick. Like I'm watching the opponent's film before we play, so I can kind of get a look on what they do and get a feel for how they kind of operate. And I think that's kind of when I found myself separating myself a little bit more, was having that deeper understanding. And it made me more confident in what I was doing. I was like, okay, I have a plan. Like I know what I got to do to execute. And it kind of just made things a little bit easier.
You talk about learning the game and understanding the different looks you get and what you're comfortable doing and what you need to do. How many of those conversations do you have? How many of those conversations do you have with your special teams coordinator throughout the week?
It's every time I always go up and chat to like the analysts, coaches, everyone, and we're kind of like always brainstorming. There's always things on the board, like different things that we can do or like different things that they do. It's probably not as formal as like what you guys do, but it's just a continuous conversation of like, okay, what are we going to do when this happens? Or like this look means this and different things. So for me, it's just like a continuous learning process. It's not a like, let's sit down and break this all up. It's kind of just a conversation. And I feel like it kind of makes me feel more comfortable too. And obviously I say a bunch of things that they look at me like, what are you talking about? But at least then like we can kind of work out what it actually is and I can kind of get an understanding for it. And another thing I want to ask about, and I don't know if it's still this way, but Ty Howe, Coach Ty Howe used to be, he worked with the Shield specifically on punt. I don't know if they still got Ty Howe doing Shield, but my last year at Penn State football, I kind of had a meeting internally with some of the coaches. They're like, look, you don't got a shot in hell at playing defensive tackle for us, but we're going to put you on the Shield and give you a chance to compete for that spot. So I was in the Shield. I appreciate that. I have great appreciation for my Shield members.
Oh, I thought you were I thought you were thanking me for my service as a backup personal protector.
I am.
Either way, the point is, Ty Howe used to bring in like these crazy desserts on Thursdays for everybody who was on the Shield. Number one, is Ty Howe still working with the Shield?
Coach Howard is working with the Shield.
Is he still bringing in treats for the Shield members? Do you know anything?
I haven't seen.
Have you gotten the Shield members any treats?
Last year I did because there was a big game where we knew that they were going to bring the heat, and I knew the fellas were going to be under the pump, and we had no problems whatsoever. So I brought in a bunch of like different, you guys say candies or whatever, but
what do you say?
Like lollies or chocolates. But anyway, I brought them in. None of them wanted to eat the ones I brought, so I was like, all right, you're done. I'm not bringing them in anymore. I said, I'm done with that. Tried to do something nice.
The damn lollies, man. Don't bring
Ty Warren said no good. Doc said no good. Theo. I think Theo might have taken one pack, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe, but that was
it.
it.
Bring in like Tootsie Rolls?
No, like Sour Patch. And like M&Ms and stuff.
They didn't like the lollies?
The chocolate M&Ms, huh?
You gotta get the peanut ones. Get the peanut ones.
I think they were like crunchy, maybe.
Yeah.
Crunchy or peanut?
The pretzels.
What? No,
the lollies.
I don't eat a lot of candy.
So what did you do with all the candy that you had bought for your personal protectors?
It sat in my locker for a long time, and then like if it ever sits in there for long enough, people will see it and they'll be like, "Yo, like what's the deal with that?" So like people would just come past and be like, "Yeah, can I take that?" And I was like, "Yeah, right, whatever, just have it."
Okay, well at least they went to you.
I tried. Yeah. I tried to be grateful.
Okay, that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
And like the lollies.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, I guess I do want to ask. So I know you're playing football right now, and you'll continue to play football hopefully for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. But when the time comes where you do hang up the cleats, I do want to go to Australia and take a visit. So I want to ask if I could come down there for a week with you, what are some of the things that you would take me to go do?
Definitely the city, like going into the city. It's pretty cool in there. The train station.
It's like New York.
Yeah, it is like New York.
That's what they say about this.
That's what
Look
they
up
say.
Melbourne City when you're done.
I will.
Check it out.
We'll get some receipts on this.
I think sports games for sure. Like watching an AFL game, I think people like. It's kind of funny. Like our stadiums look way bigger than like here because the field's so big. Like it's just really different. The beach.
Don't y'all have like huntsman spiders and?
Yeah, well, I have this conversation all the time.
Are you tired?
You're not going to
talking about
see
it?
any spiders. Like when I take you, maybe you'll see one. You won't see any crazy animals, I promise.
Okay.
But I'd take you to like some cool beach spots. We have like some of the like I'm fact check this, but I'm pretty sure the sand in Hawaii is from Australia. And you know we talk about Hawaii a lot.
We don't have to.
I'm pretty sure on Waikiki
We
Beach.
do.
Fact check it because I'm pretty sure.
let's
I don't know.
talk about
That's
that.
what I got told.
What are your
Because we
thoughts
talk
on
about
that,
it a
Dvon?
lot.
Yeah, we do.
What are your thoughts?
Now, let's think about this with our critical thinking hats. Right. Sand from Australia.
Okay.
Cross what sea is it?
Pacific, I think.
The Pacific Sea.
Ocean. Pacific Ocean.
Ocean.
Pacific Ocean, whatever. My
Just to
apologies.
clarify.
My geography isn't what it should be. The Pacific Ocean, right? And made it all the way to another shore, another coast.
I'm just saying, man.
Now look, if it happened like that, all respect.
So let me just interrupt you here real quick. Riley, are you taking credit, or do the Australians take credit for what we know as Hawaii today?
I'm not going to say that because Hawaii is one of my favorite places on, like it's the best place I've been to.
Okay.
Easily, hands down. Maui's the best place I've ever been to in my life.
Respect.
Me and my sister talk about it all the time. We're going back. We just got to make it happen.
Okay.
So I'm not going to claim that because it's a beautiful place. And I
That's how
love
you
it.
actually say it.
Hawaii.
Say it again.
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
It's not Hawaii. It's
No.
Hawaii.
Really?
Yeah, so I like exchanging culture.
Yeah,
I see
me?
what we do.
Something's going on over here. I got no part of
feel
it.
me?
I don't know.
My brother.
All right, well, very good. Dvon, do you have any closing questions for Riley here?
Something for the people. Seeing as though you're from Australia, your route wasn't, the traditional route. You've had a lot of shortcomings. You've had a lot of pitfalls, what have you. What would be your advice to that young kid, that young Oz in Australia that's looking to pave a way for himself and play American football just like you?
I think like what I've learned from my path is it's like you're gonna have like things happen, and I kind of like look back and I'm like that really bad thing happened, and it was really hard and really tough, but then this next great thing came from it. So it's kind of like in the moment it's so hard, and I know you can kind of say like don't look at it as such a negative, but you kind of got to like look at things and just be like, all right, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Let's move on and let's move on to the next thing. And that's not necessarily with football. It's kind of like with life. That was like kind of my big finding was, all right, yes, stuff's gonna happen. It is what it is. Let's work through it because you always manage to find a way to get through it, and then take the next challenge as it comes.
Oh. And last thing, what do you think about Kent State? And then we're done. Yeah, what you think about Kent State?
I'm excited. I'm always excited for game day, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's the best time of week. So I'm excited. We need the fans to show up and show out.
Yeah, so one thing, my bad, last question. We had our season opener this past week. What do you think about that slow start or, that we had as a team?
I think, like, you're going to face challenges. Like, as a team, you're going to face adversity and different things like that. Ours has come early, which I think is a great thing. We battled through it. We found a way. And I think that speaks volumes about our team and kind of how we operate and what we do. I think, like, from there, we're just going to keep rolling like we always do. We always find a way to overcome that situation. And I think it was summed up really well that, like, yeah, it wasn't exactly how we wanted it to play out, but we found a way to get through, and it's going to hold us in great stead for the rest of the year because it's happened now, and now we know what to expect when it comes again.
Sure.
Good man. Well, to the viewers back home, appreciate you tuning in to yet another episode of The Lions Den. Riley, appreciate you coming on, my brother. Always a pleasure. Stay tuned.
From down under.
From down under. Over by the Pacific Sea. Anyway, let's get back. Stay tuned to State Media for more content coming from us throughout the season, keeping you up to date on Penn State football. Make sure to like and subscribe on this podcast, and we'll be back here soon.